You can do that. And at the same time, look at the Shanghai Metals Exchange. Their silver is literally falling off a cliff at a 45-degree angle. So the rest of the world understands what these stupid 8 Western banks are doing. But I would submit the only reason that it makes sense to suppress silver that way, to the point of,
what if I told you that the silver market is rigged by some of the biggest names in finance, and the truth could change everything you know about investing? Welcome back to another explosive episode with Andy Schectman. Today, Andy reveals the shocking truth behind the suppression of silver prices. Why would major players like JP Morgan and BlackRock be involved in manipulating silver, even risking jail time for their traders? The stakes are higher than you can imagine. Countries like India and China are quietly accumulating vast amounts of silver, taking advantage of this manipulation. This isn't just about finance, it's about power, control, and global strategy. Stay with us for this eye-opening investigation.
the former head of the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the commodity police. And he gave an interview to Chris Marcus. And in the interview, he said, it's the only one he gave like this. And he said, when Bear Stearns failed, Hank Paulson and Ben Bernanke called Jamie Dimon into their offices. And they said, Jamie, we need you to take Bear Stearns' short position in silver. It's the largest short position on the COMEX, and it's huge, and we need you to take it. And Jamie said, okay, guys, I'll do it, but JP Morgan will be in violation of position limits if we do. Okay, Jamie, no worries. We'll give you like 90 days to get your house in order. Okay, cool. Off he goes. He takes over Bear Stearns' short position, the largest silver short position to that day that we'd ever seen. At the end of the 90-day period, Bart Chilton goes into his superiors and says, not only have they not decreased their position, they've increased it. They are in both a violation of our agreement and of antitrust law. They need to be prosecuted. And he publicly sang all of this to Chris Marcus on this podcast. And he says, I went into my superiors and I told them that, and they said, Bart, back down. It's a political decision. Now, let me just back up for a second. If you have 4 and 8 banks short the largest concentrated short position of any commodity, which is collusive, which is a violation of antitrust law in and of itself. You can't have a collusive concentrated short to control the market price. Back down, Bart. It's a political decision. So much so then that they find JP Morgan illegal. I mean, or they fine them $920 million for manipulating the market. They send their head trader to prison, yet they still allow JP Morgan to run this fund. Now, when Bart Chilton said this and then admitted it to Chris Marcus on his podcast, which is still out there for people to read, he died a week later. Now, I'm not saying it's tied together. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. My point to you is simply this. You have the head of the CFTC who admitted all of this, that Jamie Dimon did in fact take the short position, that they were told to lower the position to get it in line with position limits, and in fact increased it, was told to back down, admitted all this stuff, and he's gone. Now, all I can simply tell you is this. When you want to know why is the market manipulated, it's probably a whole lot deeper than any of us will ever know. But I do know this. In this environment, to have 8 commercial banks have that concentrated of a position in a commodity that the world is accumulating. We just found out that China is buying up all of the doré bars in South America in silver. And those doré bars that they're paying way more than the West will pay for it, they're scooping it all up, sending it to China and refining it there. And that does not affect the silver price because it's not refined. So it's unrefined silver. They're paying way more than the West is. And this has been verified by several sources, including sources at First Majestic Silver. This is a situation where the Chinese understand what is happening, and they are using this suppression against us, whether it be by draining the LBMA, which has its lowest amount of silver in 140 years, draining the COMEX, which continues to see gold and silver be delivered off, backdooring it out of the ETFs because only the very, very, very large basket participants are able to take metal out of the ETFs. If you're a sovereign wealth fund, you can do that. And at the same time, look at the Shanghai Metals Exchange. Their silver is literally falling off a cliff at a 45-degree angle. So the rest of the world understands what these stupid 8 Western banks are doing. But I would submit the only reason that it makes sense to suppress silver that way, to the point of throwing a head trader at JP Morgan in jail and still allowing their company to be that year that they did that they paid the $920 million fine, the JP Morgan metals desk made $1 billion. So they walk away 80 million up. They're traders in jail, and they're still allowed to be the custodian of the world's largest silver trust and the fourth largest gold trust. Who's partnered with JP Morgan in SLV? Oh, that's none other than BlackRock. So you have these very big players, these insiders, suppressing the price of silver, and I believe it is so that they can continue to make weapons. And countries like India and China know what we're doing. India has imported over 700 million ounces of silver in the past 2.5 years from the West, and they just bought over $1.5 billion worth of silver from the UAE because they have a treaty with the UAE that allows them to import silver at a much lower duty import tariff. And this is, again, these BRICS countries using it against us. Why would China go into South America and buy up all the doré bars and pay hundreds of dollars per ounce or per ton more than the West would? I mean, way more than the West would ever do it. And they're scooping up all the doré and refining it there. Why? Because they understand the importance of silver, and the military-industrial complex has been controlling it for a hell of a long time. And that's why they're doing it. Gold is more of an issue of the bond market and the dollar and the big picture strength of the Western system. But silver is a whole hell of a lot more strategic, and they're using it because it's needed to continue the endless wars that we are part of all around the world. I think the only way you can manipulate a market over an extended period of time is to push it in the direction that it is going. And I think Zoltan Pozsar is right, Danny. Zoltan Pozsar says we're in Bretton Woods 3. He's one of the smartest analysts I've ever seen. You know, he understands the plumbing of the system maybe better than anyone. He worked at the New York Fed. He's at UBS now, I believe. But he says Bretton Woods 1 when we took over for the pound sterling, Bretton Woods 2 when we became the petrodollar, Bretton Woods 3, a system all about commodities. And so take a look at, for example, the Belt Road Initiative, the largest infrastructure project in history, 175 countries, or 150, 60 countries, 75% of human population, 50% of global GDP right now. But these countries are mostly under industrialized, and they're very resource rich. So China comes in and strikes deals with all of them. They just bought the London Metals Exchange, which is the base metals, and they're now warehousing or building warehouses in China to warehouse the metals traded on the London Metals Exchange that the Chinese now own. They're striking deals all around the world cooperatively for oil, for precious metals. China last year refined 100% of all the rare earths. 100% they refined. We have no manufacturing capability here or refining capability. China, 100%. They're responsible for mining 70 or 80% in the Eurasian continent of all the rare earths. They produce more grain than the West does. They're striking deals across the globe in soft commodities, hard commodities, base metals, precious metals. This is a situation where they are using the suppression of the COMEX markets to reposition in commodities. So it ends in a place where, look, it's interesting. You look at the United States, they're like, we're broke, we're insolvent. And now we're supposed to believe that the United Kingdom is like all of a sudden really interested in buying our treasuries, along with Ireland and the Cayman Islands. But you look at a country like the United Kingdom. They just recently published a letter saying we're in trouble. We have no manufacturing capabilities, and nor do we have any of these natural resources. We're reliant upon the Eurasian continent. Well, so are we. And so we're selling our treasuries. We're broke. We're insolvent.
Thank you for joining this riveting episode with Andy Schectman. The hidden forces behind silver price suppression and the global scramble for silver have profound implications. If this episode sparked your curiosity, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more revealing insights. Share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. We're eager to hear from you. Stay informed, stay intrigued, and we'll see you in the next episode.